welcome to Module 5 on STPF. We've gotten a lot of interest on this. I think it'll be really exciting, and we have a lot of great speakers today who have been fellows in different settings, and really grateful to have Cynthia here as well.
And our final panelist is Ben Isaacoff. And Ben previously, so you'll get a double feature for him. He was previously a congressional fellow in the office of Senator Gary Peters, and now he is a executive branch fellow at the United States Department of State. So Ben, take it away.
So like I said, I made some silly slides, and the one point I really wanted to get across to everybody was this, was that, I'm sorry, let me back up. I wanted to take you into my experience making sausage, moving the needle in the horse trading room where it happens in DC. So just real quick, my bio. In 2018, I finished up, I finally lifted my head up from the microscope after many, many years of my face glued to that, which I should mention was at the University of Michigan, which is a very beautiful place with lots of beautiful buildings. But then I moved to an even cooler looking building, the United States Congress. It's a really nice picture there of the Capitol, which is like, a very problematic place in a lot of ways, but, very beautiful, and I love it. And I hope you all get a chance to go visit. And when you take a tour, definitely try to get out on the speaker's balcony. It's like a super cool view. I really love it. And it was an incredible honor to get to work there. I worked in the Hart office building, which I think is one of the coolest buildings. So from 2018 to 2019, I worked in the Senate in Senator Gary Peters' office from Michigan. And then after that fellowship, I started the AAAS Executive Branch Fellowship in the State Department, where for the first time in a long time, I was in a hideous building, the State Department, which is right behind the National Academies. We've got a lot of people here at the academies, which is a super cool building. The State Department building is hideous. It's terrible. And it's even worse on the inside somehow. But so the one thing I wanted to get across to everybody in this very short talk is that, when I entered the fellowship, both times, I had very measured expectations for what I would get to experience and accomplish. I did not expect to be in the room where it happens, really doing horse trading or this, I expected to move the needle a little bit, and I expected to make some sausage, but I didn't really expect to be operating at a super high level or be a very important person. I was like, I'm just a young fellow. It's not going to be a big deal. I'll come in, I'll move the needle just a little bit on maybe one or two science or technology issues, and that'll be great. That'll be successful. That's the criteria for a successful mission. But the reality that I found, and this is what I want to let everybody know, that it's entirely possible, and many people, including myself, sometimes have the experience in the fellowship where you really can have a big impact. You can really get into places that I did not expect to operate at very, very high levels. So just, let me give you just some quick examples of some of the work I was able to do and produce during my fellowship. When I was on the Hill, I wrote a ton of bills. I was like, it'll be successful if I get to contribute maybe some text to one bill. I wrote a bunch of bills myself. And several of them were completely my idea and conception, including this one on the top here, the One Small Step Act, which, as you'll notice from the screenshot of congress.gov, passed the Senate already. Actually passed the Senate while I was there, which was surreal. And it's doesn't have any roadblocks in the House except for kind of normal congressional slowness. So this bill will become law. Maybe not in this Congress, but presumably in the next one. Everybody loves it. So that's crazy. I came up with this bill, wrote it, and it's going to become a law. That's wild. I actually spent way more time though on the one highlighted on the bottom, which is the bill to establish a National Institute of Manufacturing. And this was a bill that actually the fellow before me had kind of dreamed up. And then on my first day in the office, they were like, hey, Ben, our previous fellow like dreamed up this crazy idea. Finish it now. Get it across the line, turn it into a bill, build a coalition, and then get it introduced and passed. And so I was like, oh, what? Okay. And what was crazy about this bill is, what was so cool working on it was, this bill will establish a new executive branch agency. In its latest version, this agency will be housed under the Department of Commerce, but still. So it's a brand new executive branch agency. Now, this one is not like going to pass possibly by the end of this Congress or anything like the One Small Step Act. But that was pretty wild to get to work on this bill that was so big and so expansive in its impact. And like, I own this bill. I wrote that entire thing, and I work with, you know, stakeholders all across the manufacturing sector in Michigan and across the country, as well as manufacturing, thinkers and policy and all sorts of stuff. And like, these are just two of my bills. And writing bills and passing your own bills is, of course, not the only thing you do on the Hill. I got to do a lot of other stuff. I had the really cool experience of like getting to hang out with the senator a bunch. He loved chatting and talking with me. I got to have like super cool conversations, sitting on meetings with other senators, like other super important people. It was like, it blew my mind kind of daily, who was like, A, just like walking in the office that I might like, you know, say hi to in the hallway or something, but B, people I was like directly engaging with, or people who I built relationships with. So for example, like from the One Small Step Back, you can tell I'm really into space and space exploration and stuff. And I met a ton of astronauts. Like, that was wild. I never got to meet an astronaut before I got to the Hill, and like now I know a bunch, and some of them are like, you know, connected with me on LinkedIn and stuff, and I can email them if I need to. The administrator of NASA quoted me several times talking about the Artemis Moon program. Now, he's not attributing the quote to me because the senator spoke my question to him. He's quoting the senator, but like, I wrote that. So like, that was a pretty wild experience, and like really just blew past my expectations. Now that I'm in the State Department, it's been pretty similar kind of thing where I'm like on a daily, not a daily basis, but I'm like frequently just like taking a step back and thinking like, how am I having this experience? This is wild. This is like so much bigger than I was anticipating. So I lead the Department of State's foreign policy development for artificial intelligence. Like, I run that for the entire State Department, which means I run, in some sense, the United States' foreign policy for artificial intelligence. That's a little bit more than I was anticipating to be doing in my fellowship. I'm showing you here a very clipped screenshot of our strategic framework for artificial intelligence. State Department had no AI strategy until I got there, and they had me write it and develop it and work with all of the stakeholders to put that through, put it through the interagency, and I did it. I got to do it, and so that's wild. There was some discussion of science diplomacy. I am a diplomat right now. I do a ton of diplomatic engagements. I've traveled abroad on my diplomatic passport many times now. Now in the social distancing pandemic era, I do a ton of diplomatic engagements on Zoom or Microsoft Teams or WebEx, which is very silly, but we do it all the time. It's wild. And so again, like, I am representing the United States to foreign governments like regularly, where they are, I am engaging them in conversation or, negotiation in some case about artificial intelligence, and like that there's nobody behind me. Like, it is, I'm the one they're going to. And so, one thing I want to make very, very clear, if you take a look at this photo, everybody on the Hill pretty much gets a photo like this when they leave, where they get a photo with their member. Interns, like everybody, they take a photo with the member and the member signs it. I really like this. It's a nice tradition. But like, when you look at this photo and when you look at me, like alarm bells should be going off in your head about like white male privilege. And that's like definitely part of how I have been able to have this experience. So I want to like fully acknowledge that, though that is of course not a prerequisite to having this kind of experience, but it definitely, of course, helps in my case. So just to kind of, you know, reiterate what I've been saying, in this fellowship, you can find yourself in a position where you are really operating at a very high level, having a tremendous amount of influence and impact. And I think this is something I did not understand going into the fellowship. I was very happy to come in and learn and kind of just, you know, keep my head down and operate at that kind of level. But that's not the experience I've had, and that's not the experience I know a lot of other fellows have had as well. So if you find yourself doing this fellowship or something similar, or even coming into work in policy in the government, completely not through a fellowship path, which is also something that's possible, you know, you can really quickly find yourself doing this. And part of why this is possible, something I want to make sure everybody understands, is they need help. You know, people in Congress, people in the executive branch, they're overworked and their people's portfolios are too big. So if you're able to come in and like competently handle some of the workload, especially on these cool science and technology policy issues that we're also well versed and passionate about, people will quickly, you know, hand over the reins to you because they got all this other crap they got to deal with. So you might find yourself, you know, making sausage in the horse trading room where it happens.
The fellowship certainly does provide some really eye-opening experiences, and you know, at least once you should be like, wow, I'm in this room, like what, why am I here? I was just in grad school.